I'm putting a collapsible pot together here for putting out before I do some kayak fishing, then collect at the end of the session. This is something I occasionally do when the conditions are calm and I can carry, deploy and retrieve the pots easily. It's mid-May and the most likely catch, when leaving the pot out for a short time, will be spider crab, which are abundant in our waters when they move in close to shore in the spring. It's a pity that the majority of UK commercially caught spider crab are exported to Europe, because if you know how to deal with them and you like crab, they are good to eat with a sweet meat. I bait the pot with fish trimmings from previous catches and secure to the base of the pot. The collapsible pot I'm using is quite large, at about 90 centimeters diameter, but just about manageable on the kayak. It has 4 entrances, making it easy for the crabs to get in, but designed with a ledge, making it hard for the crabs to get out. Okay, I'm dropping the pot here over a kelp covered reef, in about 40 feet of water, and always try to position the pot either in the weed or right on the edge of the reef. It's high water and I'll collect it around the low water mark, so I don't need to let out much warp. But if dropping the pot on a rising tide, then I would need to let out enough line to take into account the rising tide, which is always something to consider. Back now after about 5 hours to pull the pots, and there's always a great feeling of anticipation of what might be in the pots. And of course sometimes there's nothing. On this occasion I put 2 pots out and nothing in the first pot, but a spider crab in the second pot, a male. It's always pleasing to catch the males because of their large front claws, which are full of meat. The size limit is 13 centimeters, measured from the base of the thorns to the back of the shell. And we have a recreational daily take limit of 5. Now I just need to give out a warning that the next piece of footage shows the dispatching of the crab. Now whenever I catch crabs, I prefer to dispatch them rather than popping them straight into boiling water. And I'm going to do that now at the beach and then get it home and cook it. Now for those of you that don't like watching this sort of thing, I would advise that you either stop the video now or fast forward. But to me it's better, I feel more comfortable to dispatching them, as I say, rather than dropping them into boiling water. Now if you turn the crab upside down like that, lay it on its back, and it goes pretty docile. And on the underside here they've got this flap, and on the male crab it's a long narrow flap. On the female it's much more larger and much more rounded. So what I'm going to do is take the screwdriver, pull this flap back, and about there's like a crater, and at the base of that crater is a little hole. Then I'm going to put the screwdriver into that hole and then wiggle it, and that will kill the crab. So once again, if you don't want to watch this, I'd advise that you stop the video now. Okay, so take the screwdriver, just pull the flap back, and just underneath there's that crater just there with a little hole. So take the screwdriver and push right down till you feel the hardness of the shell on the top, but then give it a thin and a wiggle. Now that crab is dead. Now sometimes they will, of course, you might get a bit of movement, but that has killed the crab absolutely instantly. And as I say, to me, better to do that than to just drop it into boiling water. Now to cook the crab. So I've got a large pot here of rapidly boiling salted water. We'll just take our crab and then pop it in. and leave that to boil for a crab that size, about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so the crab is cooked now, so I'm just leaving it on the side here to cool down, and then I'll start preparing it. But just a little tip here is that after it's cooked, if you just punch a hole, get a small knife and punch a hole in where the crab's mouth is, and what happens, then prop it up at an angle like that, it helps it to drain. Can you see how all the juices are draining out, dripping out of it there? And it means that it will be, when you start to prepare the crab and you open it up and take the top shell off, it won't be so watery. Now for the preparation, and the first thing I'm going to do is to remove the claws. So all you need to do is twist and pull them out, and with a bit of luck you'll actually pull the claws out with a bit of the lovely white meat on it. Now, spider crab shells can be quite messy. They can be covered with bits of weed and barnacles. Now, what I would recommend that you do is to, similar to when you get mussels, that you scrape them. If you just take a small stiff knife like that and scrape this off and try to scrape any barnacles off. And what that will do is that when you crack the shell to get at the meat, you won't get so many, it won't be so gritty. If you crack the shell and you've got things like barnacles on the shell and bits of weed and other bits, then you can get into the meat and make it a bit gritty. So this is what I have found is a good idea to do. Just give them a scrape. It doesn't take long at all. See, there's a barnacle there. And if you crack that shell and got bits of that barnacle in amongst the meat, it won't be very pleasant eating. Now for the main shell. So I'm just going to remove the top by just taking hold of the back, and then pull the shell off to reveal the insides. Now first I need to clean this up and remove what's not edible and what's not, and that's going to be these here, which is the lungs of the crab. Now I've removed the lungs of the crab, what we're left with is, in here we've got the lovely white meat, and then we've got this here, which is the brown meat, and there's brown meat here in the top of the shell. So what I'm going to do first is scoop out the brown meat and then pop it into a bowl. Now for the white meat, most of which is in here. You can see some of the white meat on the edges of these cavities. There's lots of little cavities here that you've got to get a crab pick and pick it out. But to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to break this up like that, so I can get at these cavities a bit easier. And then if necessary, what you can do is cut this in half again to get better access to the lovely white meat. So as you saw there, what I'm doing, I'm breaking up the shell here to give me much better access to the white meat. Now, I was first introduced to spider crab in a pub. Actually, it was a small hotel in St Maurs in Cornwall, many years ago. Never had it in my life before, even though I've been down to Europe quite often. Anyway, I ordered it. It was on a special on the board, so I ordered this spider crab, and it was served. It was actually served whole. When I say whole, obviously this meat had been prepared. But I just couldn't believe it, how fantastic it was. It took me ages to eat it because of picking away at the claws, but what a pleasure it was. And ever since then, I've really enjoyed spider crab, and of course great now to actually catch it myself. And I just don't understand why most of these go abroad down to Europe. It's a great pity that more of us don't. We don't eat it because we don't see it that often. I mean, how often, even when you live by the coast like I do, how often do you see spider crab on the menu? Very rarely. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen it again. Apart from that one particular hotel years ago. Personally, I've never seen it on a British menu. But there you go, that's the way it is. But hopefully, those of you that can catch them yourself now, and you like crab now, after seeing this video, will think, well, okay, I'll give it a go. And I can promise you, you won't be disappointed. Bit of an effort, like you see, but it's worth it. And once you've done it a few times, it's like anything, like filleting fish. Of course, it gets easier. So next time you hear someone say, spider crab, they're not worth it. There's only any meat in the claws, which I've heard many times. There you are. You've got some lovely white meat there. You've got the sweet brown meat, and then, yes, of course, we've got all that fantastic meat that's going to be in those claws. To serve with the crab, I'm going to do a fantastic mustard dipping sauce. So what I've done here is I put in a tablespoon of mustard powder and then mixed that with a tablespoon of boiling water, mixed it up and then allowed it to cool. And then I've got a cup of mayonnaise. I've got a tablespoon and a half of Dijon mustard, a tablespoon of horseradish, 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice. So it's just a matter of adding these ingredients, whisking it up, season them with some freshly ground black pepper and some sea salt, and that'll be done. I've given the inside of the shell here a really good clean, and I'm going to use that to serve the brown meat and the white meat. And of course you don't have to do that, you can just pop it on a plate, but it just adds to the fun. So that's the crab prepared, ready to sit down and enjoy. So we've got our meat from the shell there, and of course the meat that's going to be in the claws. Now with the claws you can of course crack them first and extract the meat and serve it that way. But I find it a huge amount of fun to sit down at the table with the crackers and the crab pick, crack the claws at the table and pick the meat, and it just adds, to me, it just adds to the fun of eating the crab. Then of course we got our lovely mustard dipping sauce. Now as regards the claws, what I've done is I've cracked one already just to show you the lovely white meat that's in those claws. Now when it comes to catching spider crab, the great thing about them, well, two great things. That one is they're abundant from about the spring onwards, and the other is you don't necessarily need to go out to sea to catch them. So if you haven't got a boat or you haven't got a kayak, you can actually put pots out from the shore and stand a very good chance of catching spider crab. Now either to a rocky outcrop that you can go out to at low water safely, that gives you access to a gully, and put the pots there and then come and collect them the following day, which is something that I do throughout the season. Or if you've got access to a very rocky weedy beach, is to pop the pots out at the low water mark in a rock pool or something, and then again go and collect it the following tide, and as I said, you've got a good chance of catching spider crab. So once again, I hope you found that useful, and many thanks for watching.